So I'm Anupama, Business Director at GreenHonchos. Today we have wonderful opportunity, a very unique opportunity here. I have some prolific entrepreneurs who I got to meet, even now. These entrepreneurs have extremely interesting brands, extremely interesting stories, and we're going to hear about it in a bit. Since e-commerce is still in a nascent stage, we're all still swimming in extremely uncharted territory. And it's, since I come from the enablement side, I work with entrepreneurs like you, and I'm extremely fortunate to witness the kind of challenges, the kind of innovation, the spunk, the creativity that you guys are all doing at a daily basis, right? So yeah, let's throw the panel open. My first question, or my first sort of thing to probably Malvika from SEREKO. So you have an extremely interesting brand and then it's extremely interesting positioning, right? Psychodermatology is something I learned while I was researching about you. So how do you take a unique proposition like this into the market where it's already a completely sort of competitive skincare, beauty market landscape out there? So how do you sort of build your brand positioning and storytelling? I would love to hear a little bit about that.
Right, thank you. So, see, I mean, I was just kind of telling you that, if Henry Ford was asked, he said that if I asked my consumers, what do you want? They would probably say faster horses. So, it's the same. So the consumer doesn't know, the consumers don't know what they want. You have to show it to them. And that's exactly what psychodermatology is. It's an undeniable problem today. Everybody, I think everybody in the audience here also would concur that when you're stressed or you're anxious, it shows up on your skin as various skin concerns. Your acne flares up, your pigmentation worsens, your skin sensitivity worsens when you're stressed. So, skin is the largest organ of your body. So if your stress and anxiety can lead to a heart attack, which is such a small organ, then how will it not impact the skin? So we do associate stress with hair fall, stress with scalp issues, which are also part of the skin. Then why not the face? So the consumers are, they're kind of moving towards holistic beauty solutions, and brands are kind of using, this proposition of placing themselves in the holistic beauty regime, but they're kind of missing out, the current solutions are kind of missing out on the most important aspect, which is the mind. The psychological implication of dermatological problems. And 1 in 3 patients, 1 in 3 dermatology patients have proven to have a underlying psychological issue. So, having said that, psychodermatology is a very widely popular sub-niche of dermatology practiced in the US. Even in India, it's now picking up pace. There's a Psychodermatology Association of India, which has onboarded very esteemed psychologists, psychiatrists, and dermatologists. So we're picking up this concept more, and that's the narrative of the brand. We want to educate the consumer about the need gap first, and then provide solutions to them to fulfill that need gap.
Perfect. Anu, this is something that I want to ask you as well, right? India mein, when there is sweet ke dabbe and chocolates and flowers making it as gifting, here we are saying, hey, this is a gift that grows, and give a gift that grows, right? So it was an extremely competitive market for you as well to enter. And you've come and sort of changed the definition of gifting. How was it, and how did you use, today's digital platform to be able to aid that storytelling?
So we started way back, 2009, the journey started. I was in Austria and I gifted my mom a bouquet from Fawns and Petals. And when I called her the next day, she said, "Beta, wo to fek diya, rakhna tha kya?" And that's where the yo moment came in, that instead of gifting a bouquet or a chocolate or a wine, how about you gift a plant, which goes on and on. And I quit the job 2 months into being an employee, and I came back, started nurturing green. But when I came back, it was a shocker, because I realized that, and that time I was just 22, and I realized that gifting is a catalog, it's not a catalog business, it's a supply chain business, which means that 90% of the decisions happens within 24 hours of the D-Day. So 14 Feb को Valentine's है, सारे husbands और boyfriends को 13 तारीख को याद आएगा कि कुछ देना है. And if your brand is not able to deliver in a day and does a day after, you have screwed their happiness. वो divorce होंगे और वो आपसे order नहीं करेंगे वापस. To do repeat clients, we realized it has to be a supply chain business. We were not there because we couldn't afford to have 500 warehouses. And then we pivoted to an idea of home gardening, and that became our biggest business for the last decade. It's only few quarters back that we came on the quick commerce space again. And so we got on Blinkit. My category head, she kept pushing me, नहीं करना है, सर यार पौधे कौन खरीदेगा 10 मिनट में? Nobody wants that. We're just defocusing ourselves. But she insisted, my CEO insisted and said, चलो करते हैं, 500-600 भी कर लो महीने में, it's a good number for us. Nobody needs plants in 10 minutes. And that's where the whole game changed, that we started doing 2,000 orders a day as we begin in NCR. Now we are getting in next 15 days in Bangalore. We are in Bombay, so we'll cover almost 12 cities, major cities across, and looking at doing 5,000 orders there, so a day. And I didn't imagine that people will want to give this. There are a lot of use cases now coming out. So a lot of insights which came, and now I think gifting can be cracked by using the distribution of the quick commerce guys. So we're now going on Zeptos and the other Instamarts of the world. So that's how the journey is. I think it's day zero for us. It's just beginning. Now, I think the next 10 years is going to be really interesting.
I was mind blown when I heard this earlier today as well, right? Because it's such an interesting proposition and use case also from, children's party. Now they're looking at plants, giving pots as return gifts. Right, so someone's coming home, you want to be able to get something quick and something meaningful. So I think that's where you were able to sort of, again, with gift a plant as your proposition, you're able to really go all the way. That's really impressive. In the journey of brand building, we've known that building online communities and fostering that through digital platforms is extremely important today. That sort of aids to your organic revenue, increases your customer lifetime value over time, etc. So, Sushruthi, this is for you. You run a brand called 𝗙cie with a celebrity co-founder, of course. And how have you built your online community? And what's your formula there?
Right. So 𝗙cie started at least the back-end work started in March of 2020, which was like just pre-pandemic. And we launched the brand in September 2020. So I think that in a way shaped the role of social media and online communities, because then suddenly everybody was just interacting online, right? So that's where the kind of communities we've built is across multiple social media channels, not just an individual. So Instagram being our #1 channel, followed by YouTube, followed by WhatsApp. And the reason I'm saying WhatsApp is not your broadcasts or targeted messaging, but we have an active community who speaks to each other on WhatsApp, right? So I think for apparel brand, this became very important over time because one, the way we build the product in itself, right, is a lot of input from the customer. So when you want to really build what they want, we do polls and we do a lot of interaction with the customer to understand what do they want, right? So if we are deciding ki half sleeve karna hai, full sleeve karna hai, what length, we put it out for polls, right? And we also put it out for polls for enclosed communities where we know that the more loyal customers exist, right? So that has really helped us in terms of one, keeping the customer as a part of the brand's journey in the product, right? So they feel a lot more invested in the product in itself because they have been a part of the decision making. So I think that's one way in which community has really helped. And also, of course, I think with time, if you look at the kind of growth in CACs, right, you really have to have at least a certain base who comes back to you because they know you well enough and they know your service quality. So I think from a retention standpoint, it really helps. Today, even if I shut off my performance marketing channels, I know that I'll stick up to at least 50% of my revenue, right? And that's the power of organic reach that you build with social communities.
That's wonderful, because it's also an insight to a lot of brands here as well, how to keep your consumers or your customers part of your product roadmap, right? That's where they become truly invested in the brand and truly become like evangelists. I think Anthropology does it very well in the West, where they hire their muse as part of the store staff, because they can't get more excited, more invested person to show people around, you know. Prateek, I want to get your views on this. You know, you run Vanity, Wagon, clean beauty products. What, if you could talk about specific initiatives, or if you could talk about how you went about building an online community, you know, what would that journey look like?
Sure. No, I think firstly, I'll just introduce myself. So I am the founder of Vanity, Wagon. We're a clean beauty platform, and a lot of what's been spoken till now relates to us because we are, of course, D2C first and then went offline recently. So on the community piece, I think what's been interesting is we've learned it the hard way, but don't be too eager to reward your community too soon because they get used to that reward. So I think one thing which we've seen over the years is, yes, interact, understand who your audience is, but don't get overwhelmed and start rewarding day in and day out. By the time you realize the numbers are skewed for you. So that's, I think, one thing that we've seen. From an initiative point of view, I think we've done a lot. So my wife, who's my co-founder, she comes from an influencing background. She's been interacting with users, consumers for a really long time. So she focuses a lot of her energy and time on our affiliate network, our influencer network. And because we are a platform, unfortunately, we can't make products based on recommendations. But what we can do is bring in brands that suit our consumers or talk about the things our consumers want to know about. So we've seen crazy trends in beauty in the last 5 years, hyaluronic acid and vitamin C and rice and onion and God knows what all everybody wants to put in these days. But yeah, so it's whatever is helping or not helping is a consumer's first question. And that's where I think a community really helps. We've been interactive. A lot of the channels that were mentioned, we are on those channels. Besides which, we try to make our outreach very informative. So our email marketing is for our community. So is any of the YouTube videos that we do, or anything basically we talk about in open, digital or offline, is mostly for our community. So focus a lot on what we're talking about.
Brilliant, thank you. Shivani, next obvious question, right? With building communities, you increase the customer lifetime value and your return customer rate. And you have a phenomenal return customer rate with Uptownie. What are the, again, want to make it as anecdotal as possible and give more real use case scenarios for the brands and the entrepreneurs here. If you can tell us, how did you, obviously it's a process, it's a journey of achieving 30, 35% return customer rate. But if you could sort of delve a little deeper into what were some of the key initiatives, or what were some of the key findings, and hence the digital levers that you used, I think it'll be mighty helpful here.
So on the technical side, one of the main things that we do is try to tell a different story to a repeat purchaser than a top of funnel purchaser. Because that person has already experienced your brand once, so now you've got to give them a real reason to come back. In my industry, which is women's wear in the Western wear segment, and it's fast fashion, that impulse is mostly driven by new product launches. They'll see something cool, new, exciting, trendy, and they'll come back because they already trust your brand. But from a more anecdotal perspective of sort of fostering a community and really building loyal customers, I take out 1 hour a day, no matter how crazy the day is, and I think everybody on the stage and maybe the audience also knows how crazy the day can become sometimes, right? I take out 1 hour of the day in which I am either messaging or calling customers personally. And I do this religiously every single day so that I am always tapped into what their feedback is about maybe a new launch. And then I know how to address that in advertising. If somebody tells me that I like that your pants had an elastic on the back, it's something I'll push in my messaging. Or if somebody tells me that I want, that I understand that a lot of buying patterns are driven by the fact that somebody wants something for their birthday in 2 days or a trip in 2 days, then how can I work with last mile partners, and now there are many who will deliver within certain high order areas in a day or two. So I think that sort of very granular feedback is very important to sort of plug into your business. I know it doesn't sound like the most easy or even the most scalable approach, because you're like, you know, yeah, but I think those insights are actually very powerful when you apply them at scale. Another thing that I found while talking to customers, a lot of our customers are young. They're obsessed with Instagram. They want to stand out on Instagram. You need to give them a product that helps them do so. So that's a key insight that has driven a lot of the color choices we make or the product development. That's a choice I'm making at scale, but it's a choice that is informed by the fact that I have taken out that painful time to talk to individual people. So I really do think that if you're a D2C brand, there's no replacement for that. You have to be very close to your customer.
That's a wonderful insight. It also sort of ties back to one of the points we were discussing. When we do, so there's word of mouth marketing, right? So when you do spend an hour calling customers, it could be any customer, and it sort of helps word of mouth marketing, because they're like, you know what, founder called, and they're asking my insights, they're asking for my feedback, right? So you already are sort of making them the evangelist of your product. So, and also, yes, we all know how crazy days get, so kudos if you're able to take the hour off. Abhishek, so let's talk about, you know, you represent WeiKFiELD Food. How do you sort of use technology and research to be able to get consumer insights that sort of help you with your product roadmap? Would love to know something more about that.
शुक्रिया सबसे पहले तो to ICS, and thank you very much, Anupama. So data is very important for everybody, yes. And we at a WeiKFiELD, I can proudly say that we are very technology-driven organization. We have a multiple source point of data. And there are multiple factors which tells us that, okay, this is the right time to introduce your new product in the market. So definitely marketplaces help us a lot to understand the consumer behavior insights. They can help us to understand that your competitor are doing this. Maybe you can have this step so that you can grow in the e-commerce space. Likewise, on the other hand, we have a very good marketing team, which is absolutely data-driven. How we are gathering the data, that we are doing a lot of surveys into the market, as we are the market leader for custard, baking. So we keep on surveying about the thing that why there are some certain consumer base, they are not buying our stocks. So let's take an example of custard. So being a market leader, it is our responsibility to be the top notch in R&D. And how we can do R&D in this? So we have been into the market and understand that custard making is a very tedious project altogether. So we have introduced a simple solution for it. Instant custard mix, simple. You can make it in 5 minutes and eat it. After a certain duration, maybe certain years, we have realized that, okay, fine, we have to move on to the next step. We realize that consumer nowadays want some instant solution. And that instant solution is kato, gholo, or khalo. Simple. So we have introduced ready to eat custard. So, जो 40 minute का journey था, that comes to in a minute. So that's how we are data driven. We are so focused on the surveys. We believe that whatever consumer demand, it is our sole responsibility to provide to the end user. So that's how we are doing it.
Fabulous. So whether it's a large company which sort of takes help of market research, or whether it's a founder making calls per day, I think being closer to the consumer is the real insight here, because they are the ones who are driving product innovation even at your end, right? Let's open it up for questions. I think we have some time for questions. Anybody? Lunch was over 20 minutes ago, guys. Yes.
Hi, thanks Anu, and thanks everyone. I have a question for you all of you, and anyone can answer, right? As founders, I'm sure all of you would have gone through what I call 2 aha moments. One aha moment is when you realize the problem. Na, जैसे आपने बोला कि my mom threw away my gift, and that's my aha moment when I realize I have to do something, right? Then there also is an aha moment of the solution. Ki this is what I need to crack. It would be lovely to know from any of you how you got that moment.
I'll tell you because it's a recent one also. It took us 10 years to find that aha moment. I mean, there are a lot of aha moments in a founder's life. But as a founder and in our management, we were always looking at a higher AOV, and everybody as a founder knows, anything above below 1,000 CAC will kill you. So we were pushing it across ki महंगे पौधे बेचो, महंगे चीजें बेचो. And then we met the Blinkit team, and they were like, Annu, I need it at 100 rupees. I said, are you mad? Why you want at 100 rupees? And they said we need to create a new use case, because we did our research and figured out that the consumers are ordering 3.5 to 4 gifts a year, and they're usually close circle. You go to your mom's birthday or Diwali, etc. Can we make this to a everyday gifting? Which means I'm going to a friend's place, I'll take one, or it's a neighbor's birthday, I met him downstairs in the lift, and I want to give something to him. And they pushed us to think and have that aha moment that, can you create something at 99, which was a nightmare to think, packaging, plant, ordering, supply chain, their margins, how can we do it at 99? But they pushed us, and I think that lowered our AOV. My finance CFO, she's not happy, but at least I know at some point we will be able to make money in this whole transaction, because now we have huge demand and we can have better negotiations at the supply chain elements. We are able to optimize every level. And that aha moment came in कि यार India में gifting में and everyday gifting करना है, scale करना है. So for us, a 100 crore journey was okay with these top. For we realized 100 to 1,000 crore journey, if we go to the mass audience, it has to be price points which are, at least for your category, you need to know what's that aha moment. We realized that aha moment is less than 500. So 200-300 रुपए में अच्छा पौधा, अच्छा package दे दो, people will do it at scale, and that repeat purchase will keep in. We met Abhi Home Center team today in the morning, and they are saying 79 crore, so that we scale this up further on. So yeah, I think that's our aha moment, that we learned that pricing is value to your customer for that use case is very important.
Yeah, sure. So I think for 𝗙cie, we are a women's ethnic fusion and now slightly Western apparel brand, right? So we've had, I think, a couple of different aha moments. The first one being that I think the way celebrity brands have been used in India have been fairly commercial in nature. So I think that's where Samantha has been a great partner. So with having a celebrity partner, again, adding on to what was mentioned earlier, I think having the factor of who's your celebrity, what is your brand, what does your customer want, what is the product, and the pricing, right? I would kind of put these 5 factors as pillars to ensure that you really know your product market fit, right? And I think listening to customers has really helped us navigate that. And, again, adding to what you said, a lot of that has actually helped us build our AOV very well and continue to scale. So I think that was a slightly contrasting aha moment for us.
Hi. As a young company, we want to understand what was your early days growth and retention policy, or how you were able to keep your customers, and how did you balance between growth versus retention? You can't do everything at once, if I understand it correctly, right?
Do you want anyone specific to take this, or anyone on the panel? Anyone?
I don't think that is very true. Actually, I think growth and retention go hand in hand very well, because top of the funnel customer acquisition is expensive, particularly if your brand runs a lot on performance marketing. Retention is cheaper, remarketing is cheaper, and other retention channels such as SMS, email, WhatsApp are much cheaper. So if you want to fund your growth in a way that you are still making money at the same time, and you don't want to bleed money in top of the funnel acquisition, it is very important to double down on retention and do that well. And both things can and should actually move parallelly, so that you are building a quality customer base.
But if you're an early entrepreneur, and I think if you're looking at growth and retention, don't look at it from a performance or from having CleverTap and the retention agencies, etc. I think your focus should be how my customer sort of uses our product more, and can we better our product, our customer support. I'll give you 2 instances of ours, of what we did. There were 2 insights which came early on. One, yaar Annu, mera paudha mar jata hai, I don't have a green thumb. And we figured out the whole supply chain kaisa hota kyun hai. Right? There are local nurseries, they will ditch on the quality, they will not put the right media mix, there is no tech in terms of the soil mix, etc. I said, let's put slow releasers so that plants doesn't die in 6 months at least. Right? That was one of our very big growth hacks. And then you said retention kaise karte hain? So we said retention isliye karte hain. So now we have a lifetime warranty on our any of the plants. So तेरे बच्चे भी आएंगे और अगर वो हमारे पास आते हैं कहते हैं प्लांट था मर गया था, we'll give it at 50% cost, no question asked. Now this builds the trust, and retention automatically starts coming in. Right? So instead of focusing on saying I will do digital performance ads, I mean nobody makes money in performance ads for sure. I'm 100% sure here. And in terms of retention, I think focus, especially when you're early on the product or the need which, or the insights which you can have around your industry, which your competition or the need of the customer is not getting filled through your competition, and can your product build that in your whole supply chain somehow?
Okay, we have time for one more question.
Hi, I'm Juveria, and my question is, what steps do you take to build and maintain a consistent brand image across consumer touchpoints, and how does this translate into product design and development? The question is open to anybody on the panel.
I'll take it up. So the first and foremost thing that it is not only a single directional way we have to approach it, it is a 360 way. So when I'm saying the 360 way, we have to do multiple activities synchronized and focused onto a single direction. That's how we can do it. If we are running any campaigns on e-commerce, we have to run something similar to modern trade GT. That's how the recall value in the consumer mind will increase, and they have a better memory about that synchronized approach for a single product. That's how you can do it.
Yeah,
So-
I don't mind adding to that. So I think that's the idealistic way to do it. But I think from coming back around how you go about building that image across channels. Yeah, so I was saying how you go about building it is, again, understand your consumer, understand why they are shopping from you. Is it because of a certain thing that you do? Like we've been hearing about Nurture Grow. And what are you doing in your company that's helping the consumer attach themselves to you? And then try replicating that image across. So a lot of great brand stories, big brands, Nike, McDonald's, Adidas, they hold a story. WeiKFiELD, of course, is a big brand as well. So they hold a story and they try to make sure that whenever a consumer sees them, either in an ad or in a product, or even let's say somebody wearing a t-shirt as a sales staff, they should relate to the brand somehow. And I think custard is a fab product. I've been a user of it, God knows since how many years, but yeah, that's how I relate to that brand of maybe that product. And they continue to push that product well. So that's just a few insights into that.
Just to add to Prateek, it's also a cohesive storytelling across all your customer touch points, right? Your ads, the first instance of a user experiencing your product or an ad, your ads have to be cohesive to your Instagram grid, or your storytelling on Instagram or your social channels needs to be in sync with the website, visual storytelling, language, etc. And it has to sort of trickle down to the final unboxing of the product, which is the last mile, right? So only when a single sort of thread of your brand positioning is able to come cohesively through all your customer touch points is when you'll be able to deliver that more effectively. So I think it's a wrap, Anish?
I'm afraid so.
Yes, all right.
Great panel. I know there were a couple of more questions, but if you can take them offline, that would be great.